Once upon a time, in a landlocked land, Slovakia. Tucked away in Central Europe, it's a country most people couldn't point to on a map if you spotted them, Bratislava, and Vienna, and maybe Prague for good measure. For centuries, Slovakia was like that friend who always gets roped into helping with farm work. Surrounded by bigger, bossier empires, Slovakia's economy was about as exciting as watching potatoes grow. Literally. We're talking subsistence farming, folks, you know, growing enough food to not starve, exciting times. They did have some sheep though, so there's that. And let's not forget those rolling hills, perfect for more farming. Yep, Slovakia's economic story starts off as a real page-turner, but hold on to your hats, things are about to get wild. Well, wild in a we're slowly introducing rudimentary factories kind of way. Baby steps, people, baby steps. You see, Slovakia wasn't just about farming. There were artisans too, crafting beautiful traditional items. Markets would spring to life with vibrant colors and the sounds of trade, a small but significant part of the economy. And let's not forget the castles, standing tall as silent witnesses to the country's evolving story. Folk dances and celebrations added a splash of culture and joy to the otherwise monotonous life. Families were close-knit, sharing stories and traditions that have been passed down through generations. And those mountains, oh those mountains, they were more than just a backdrop. They were a source of pride and inspiration. Education began to take root, with small schools popping up, laying the foundation for a more enlightened future. Slowly but surely, innovation started to creep in, with inventors and thinkers pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Railways began to connect the country, bringing with them the promise of progress and a brighter tomorrow. And through it all, the spirit of the Slovak people remained unbroken, hopeful for a future that was just beginning to unfold. The 19th century rolls around, and guess what? A whirlwind of change is about to sweep across Europe. Europe is having a moment. The Industrial Revolution is in full swing, transforming cities and lives. Factories are popping up like mushrooms after the rain. Railroads are being built at a breakneck pace. And suddenly, knowing how to operate a steam engine is the hottest skill around. It's a time of innovation and progress. Slovakia, however, was still trying to figure out how to get their oxen to pull a plow in a straight line. The rural landscape remained largely unchanged. Look, nobody is saying Slovakia was completely stuck in the Stone Age. They dabbled in mining, extracting valuable resources from the earth. They even flirted with textile production, setting up looms and weaving fabrics. But compared to the industrial powerhouses of the West, Slovakia was basically running a lemonade stand. The contrast was stark. A very charming rustic lemonade stand, but still, the simplicity of village life was endearing. The pace of change? Glacial. Progress moved at a snail's pace, inching forward ever so slowly. The good news? They had plenty of potatoes to see them through. Potatoes were a staple, providing sustenance and stability during these slow-moving times. Fast forward to the aftermath of World War I. The Austro-Hungarian Empire goes kaput, and suddenly, Slovakia finds itself sharing a roof with its Czech neighbor. Czechoslovakia is born. And guess what they brought to the party? More industry. Don't get too excited. It wasn't all smooth sailing. The Great Depression hit Czechoslovakia like a bowl of cold haluski, that's Slovak potato dumplings for the uninitiated. But hey, at least they were struggling together, right? Plus, they made some progress in things like steel production and engineering. Slovakia was finally on the map, even if that map was mostly focused on Czech achievements. Every family has its overachiever, right? Post-World War II, a new player enters the game: communism. The government decides that the best way to run an economy is to control absolutely everything. Private property? So 1940s. Centralized planning? Now you're talking. Slovakia, now firmly under the communist thumb, gets busy churning out steel, machinery, and the occasional Trabant, the infamous East German car that was about as reliable as a screen door on a submarine. Were there inefficiencies? Sure. Shortages? Absolutely. But hey, at least everyone had a job, right? Even if that job involved pretending to work while waiting for empty shelves to be restocked. Those were the days, eh? Or so they say. Section 5. Velvet Revolution, Trading Red Tape for Red Bull, 1989. The Berlin Wall falls, communism goes out of fashion faster than shoulder pads, and Slovakia decides it's time for a makeover. Cue the Velvet Revolution, a peaceful transition of power in Eastern Europe. It's a Christmas miracle. But here's the thing about revolutions, they're messy. Slovakia had to figure out this whole market economy thing. Privatization, stock markets, supply and demand. It was like trying to learn calculus from a mime. Confusing, frustrating, and ultimately, kind of hilarious. But hey, at least they could finally get their hands on some decent coffee. Priorities, people. Section 6. Euro trip. Slovakia joins the cool kids club. Remember that whole EU thing? The one with the single currency and the free movement of people and enough bureaucracy to make even the most hardened bureaucrat weep with envy? Well, Slovakia decided to shoot its shot. And guess what? They got in. In 2004, Slovakia officially became a member of the European Union. Joining the EU was like getting a backstage pass to the coolest party in Europe. Suddenly, Slovakia had access to EU funds, foreign investment, and the freedom to work, travel, and eat questionable sausages in other countries. It was a time of economic growth, optimism, and the realization that maybe, just maybe, Slovakia was finally on the right track. Section 7. From sheep herders to car manufacturers. Remember those sheep we talked about? Yeah, they took a back seat to something a little more high-tech. Post-EU accession, Slovakia became a bit of an industrial powerhouse. We're talking cars, electronics, you name it. Slovakia, the Detroit of Eastern Europe, except, with fewer abandoned buildings and more pierogies. The country attracted big-name investors like Volkswagen, Kia, and Peugeot, and suddenly, Slovakia was churning out cars faster than you could say turbocharged diesel engine. They even became a major electronics hub, producing everything from televisions to computer chips. Who needs sheep when you've got flat-screen TVs, right? Section 8. The 2008 crisis. When the euro went on a diet, the good times were rolling, the economy was booming, and then, bam, everything changed almost overnight. The 2008 global financial crisis hit, and suddenly, everyone's portfolios were thinner than a Slovak pancake. Banks were failing, and the stock market was in free fall. Remember that whole Eurozone thing? It was supposed to bring stability and prosperity. Yeah, turns out sharing a currency with a bunch of other countries means you also share their economic woes. The interconnectedness that was supposed to be a strength became a vulnerability. Slovakia, despite being a relatively new member of the Eurozone, felt the pinch. The economic downturn didn't spare anyone. Exports dropped, unemployment ticked up, and people started hoarding their koruna. Just kidding, they switched to the euro years ago. But the sentiment was real. People were scared. But here's the thing about Slovakia. They're resilient. The community spirit and determination to overcome adversity were palpable. They tightened their belts, implemented some reforms, and managed to weather the storm better than many other European countries. They focused on innovation and efficiency. They even offered to lend Greece some money. Just kidding. They're not crazy. But they did show solidarity and a willingness to help where they could. Slowly but surely, Slovakia began to recover. The economy started to stabilize, and the future began to look a little brighter. The crisis taught Slovakia valuable lessons in economic management and resilience, lessons that would serve them well in the years to come. Section 9. Pandemic panic. But Slovakia still knows how to party. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the economy, 2020 rolled around and said, "Hold my pivo." The COVID-19 pandemic hit, and the world basically shut down. Remember restaurants, concerts, hugging strangers on the street, good times. Slovakia, like everyone else, went into lockdown mode. The economy took a hit, businesses struggled, and people started wearing sweatpants 24/7. But amidst the chaos, Slovakia managed to keep its head above water. They implemented testing and tracing programs, supported businesses, and even found time to develop a vaccine. Okay, maybe not a whole vaccine, but they did contribute to some research. Baby steps, people, baby steps. Section 10. So, is Slovakia rich now? Fast forward to today and Slovakia's economy is looking pretty good. They've gone from a country known for agriculture and sheep to a high-income economy with a thriving industrial sector. They're in the EU, they use the euro, and they even have a decent credit rating. Not bad for a country that was once best known for its potato dumplings. But it's not all sunshine and roses. Slovakia still faces challenges like brain drain, income inequality, and the occasional bout of political drama. But hey, nobody's perfect, right? The important thing is that Slovakia has come a long way, and their economic future is looking brighter than a disco ball in a Trabant factory. Section 11. The future's so bright Slovakia gotta wear shades. So what's next for Slovakia? Will they become the next Silicon Valley? Will they finally achieve world domination through their superior potato dumplings? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. Slovakia's economic journey is far from over. They've proven themselves to be resilient, adaptable, and surprisingly good at making cars. They've embraced change, overcome challenges, and managed to maintain a healthy sense of humor along the way. And that, my friends, is something worth celebrating. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to find some haluski.